A goosebumps moment in film. What does that mean? It's a moment when you get a surge of good chemicals coursing through your system and your arms erupt in a riot of goosebumps. The moment sticks with you forever. Even at some point going back not to watch the film, but just that particular sequence that gave you goosebumps. And today, I'm going to be ranking my personal top 10 goosebump moments in comic book movies. Now, there definitely is a running theme with my list. Half of them are Batman movies, but what can I say? I'm a sucker for the bat. With that being said, number 10. Number 10, Batman and Robin, A Chilling Chase. I know, Batman and Robin, but hear me out. After Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze have their plans foiled by the dynamic duo at an auction taking place in Gotham, Batman and Robin chase down Mr. Freeze and his two goons. At one point, Mr. Freeze uses his Freeze-mobile to blast some ice through the neck of a giant statue in Gotham City, smashing through the neck, followed in tow by Batman and Robin. Now, what I love about this scene is just the bombasticness of it, but also paired with the beautiful score from the film. As we see Batman and Robin emerge through the neck, we hear Robin rev up his Redbird to a booming hit of the score. Now, at one point, Robin defies physics by doing a wheelie on his Redbird that clearly has a cover on the back wheel, but that's neither here nor there. There is an exchange between the dynamic duo, and at one point, Batman disengages the Redbird, causing Robin to skid to the very end of the statue, letting out a giant scream at a now airborne Batman. I think the goosebumps from this have carried over from childhood. When I first saw this in the cinema, this particular scene gave me goosebumps, and it still gives me goosebumps as an adult. It's in a movie that goes down as one of the worst superhero movies of all time, but this is more nostalgic goosebumps for me. And that's why it's my number 10. Number 9, The Dark Knight. Stranger. I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. Yes, I know that was cringe. Don't worry about it. We're not going to talk about it. When The Dark Knight came out, it was a huge, smashing success. Obviously because of Heath Ledger's tour de force performance as the Joker. Unfortunately, he passed away before the film came out. Now, at the time when I Am Legend was playing in IMAX theaters, they played the prologue to The Dark Knight, much like what they did with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and the prologue for The Dark Knight Rises. But we're here to talk about the prologue for The Dark Knight, which involves a bank robbery headed by the Joker, although the other bank robbers do not know at the time that they are being headed by the Joker. One by one, they pick off each other until the Joker is remaining, and it's him and the now wounded bank manager. He slowly proceeds over to the bank manager before revealing himself as the Joker.
Stranger.
And the booming sound of Hans Zimmer's Why So Serious score, paired with that close, tight shot of Heath Ledger's beautiful Joker makeup, is just so damn good. And to see it in IMAX and feel that rumble through your chest was an absolute goosebump moment and a half. I think another reason why I get goosebumps for this scene and just The Dark Knight in general is the fact that an Australian, a young, talented Australian, went on to portray one of the most famous comic book villains put to film and did a damn good job in the process. Number 8, The Batman. Batmobile rev up. So after a shootout with the Penguin, Catwoman and Batman go to escape. Now, we see Batman retreat to his newly built Batmobile. Now, sound design is a beautiful thing. When it's done right and paired with some incredible imagery, it is an event, it is an experience, and in this case, it did it so damn well. The power you feel through the sound design of the surging, spooling V12 engine revving up. It is come to life like a creature growling at one point. The look on Colin Farrell's Penguin face is absolutely brilliant and of just confusion and what the fuck is that? It sounds and looks like a creature emerging from the darkness. I remember being in the cinema when I saw the Batman for the first time. The audience was roaring just like the engine of the Batmobile was roaring as it starts up, revs up, ready for its chase to take down the Penguin. Now, also an honorable mention to this particular scene. When the Batman is chasing Colin Farrell's Penguin along the highway, we see Robert Pattinson's Batman at one point get absolutely enraged and throttle up that afterburner, which has some brilliant sound design, even though it's 1 or 2 seconds long. He then proceeds to go up the ramp of a car carrier, blow through some flames, and finally take down the Penguin. But For me, the goosebumps moment is when that Batmobile starts revving up and comes to life like a bat out of hell. Number 7, Avengers Endgame, Assemble. Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame were absolute event films, and they still have a discussion going to this very day in terms of people's experiences in the cinema. And to me, there were some great experiences in the cinema. Most notably, the sequence where we have an array of Marvel characters finally together on screen in the same location. We then get a close-up of Chris Evans as Captain America yelling out, "Assemble." We've only been waiting so long for that to be finally said, followed by a roar of Chris Hemsworth Thor as they run into battle against Thanos, and it's just a beautiful moment. It's all come full circle. What happens after Endgame is a whole nother story and what we're in the mix of at the moment with the MCU, but we still have that beautiful moment. And an honorable mention as well for the moment when Chris Evans as Captain America catches Mjolnir. Number 6, Superman Returns, Wing Blast. Superman Returns is a love-hate thing with a lot of people. For me, I have a lot of nostalgia for it because it was filmed here in Sydney. My dad was an extra during the runaway car scene with Parker Posey and Superman. He didn't end up on screen, but he actually wound up in the behind the scenes footage that was on the original DVD release, which is pretty fun. Dad said it's the coldest he's ever been in his fucking life, but he still loved every minute of it. But the scene that really stood out to me in Superman Returns is that sequence where Brandon Routh's Superman is saving that plane from plummeting to the ground, which has Lois Lane on board. But the one moment that gives me the absolute most amount of goosebumps is when that wing detaches from the plane. Superman, enraged that he cannot catch up to this plane, blasts through it, accompanied by a choir and orchestral score that is haunting and booming at the same time. I love Brandon Routh as Superman. I love the fact that he got a second chance to be Kingdom Come Superman. But this sequence right here, just everything about it, the visuals, the score, the sound design, everything that goes on in this sequence is amazing. And the fact that he blasts through that like it's a piece of paper, it's just so badass at the same time. Number 5, The Dark Knight Rises, Bane's Rage. Much like Superman Returns, The Dark Knight Rises is a hit and miss for some people. It's never going to be on par with The Dark Knight, but at the same time, for a conclusion for Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, I think it was solid. I think it's the best conclusion we could have got, but at the same time, we got a brand new villain with Tom Hardy portraying Bane. Now, Tom Hardy measures in at 5'9", the same as yours truly, but he took it upon himself to pack on as much size and muscle as possible to be an imposing, almost old school strongman type of Bane. And what we got was a brutal representation of the character, and halfway through the film, he defeats Batman, which I give Nolan props for having the balls to at one point disable our main hero, but he comes back. We then have that sequence at the very end where we have all the cops versus Bane's thugs, and then Bane versus Batman out the front of City Hall. And this is my goosebumps moment where, in my opinion, I see final form Bane, the Bane I've wanted to see, where at one point Batman damages his mask, which has anesthetic in it that keeps Bane's pain at bay. He is freaking out. He is now in fight or flight response. He is throwing arms like a silverback gorilla, enraged he did not get the last banana. And then at one point, Bane throws Batman against a pillar and absolutely lays into him, that is paired brilliantly with Hans Zimmer's score with each blow to Batman's torso. Batman then dodges out of the way, and Bane then, still enraged, lays into the pillar, crushing it in the process. It's at this point Bane realizes he's got nothing left to lose, and he just goes all out, swinging all round, and then Batman disables him. But that one moment where Bane is so enraged, he wants to tear Batman's intestines out, is so badass. And I just love the part of the score it's paired with, where you feel those hits, you feel that rumble through your chest. That is Bane to me. And as Alfred says in The Dark Knight Rises, "Look at him, his speed, his ferocity. I see the power of belief. I see a very angry man, Master Wayne." Number 4, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990, The Turtles vs. Shredder. TMNT 1990 is a favorite of mine. I love how dark it is. I love the fact that you don't buy into the fact that it's 4 blokes in rubber suits They're 4 bickering teenagers that happen to know ninjutsu, and their father is a giant rat. But what I love most is how dark and gritty the film is, and that's why there was such a tonal shift with Secret of the Ooze and TMNT 3. A lot of parents complained when the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, even though it is so accurate to the original source material and graphic novels, parents did not like it one bit. Regardless of that, we still got a beautiful representation of the Turtles, April O'Neil, Casey Jones, but what I love most is that battle at the end of the 4 boys versus the Shredder. Shredder, cool, calm, calculated, takes the Turtles down one by one, who are still quite amateurish and still learning, but they just go all out blazing. They are still young, hot-headed. But it's the fight with Leo versus the Shredder that I love the most. Leo gets one blow in on Shredder's arm. Leo is definitely the most experienced, and that is why he is the leader of the 4 boys. But I just love the exchange between him and Shredder. Leo is enraged at the fact that Splinter may be dead, so this is his only hope to take down the person responsible for possibly killing his father. So Leo's first 2 blows to the Shredder are actual kill shots. He goes for the head. He had every intention of taking Shredder's head off. Paired with John Dupre's booming synthesizing score as the Turtles go through Shredder, and he takes them down one by one. But it's the fight with Leo where it's most brutal. And again, Leo gets that one shot in. Number 3, Batman v Superman warehouse fight. Batman v Superman could have been so damn good, but it does have a lot of problems with it. There is one part of the film that is not a problem at all. In fact, it emulates the Arkham games so well and made me want to see that solo Batfleck film so much. It's the warehouse fight. The warehouse fight on a whole gave me goosebumps the entire time. Not just because it was emulating the Arkham games, but to me, this is my Batman. Older, brutal, angry, and grisly. And yes, I know a lot of people give Affleck's Batman shit for killing people, but you gotta keep in mind, Keaton, Kilmer, and Clooney, they all killed motherfuckers. And at one point, we see Batfleck take a man's hand holding a knife, taking said hand with said knife, and plunging it into this man's thigh, essentially by proxy, making him stab himself. He breaks arms, he lays into guys' heads, he throws crates at guys' heads, which I'm assuming kills them instantly by looking at that blood on the wall, if you watch the Ultimate Edition. But what I love is this is the Batman I've wanted to see for so long. The combat is brutal, he takes no prisoners, he rages through them like a bull in a china shop, and that is thanks in part to the beautiful choreography of the stunt crew. Affleck's stunt double Richard Citrone, who did most of the heavy lifting, but at the end we had that beautiful hero shot of Affleck in the bat suit, stalking someone who is pinned up against the wall with a knife, looking like an absolute beast. Number 2, Spider-Man 2, Last Swing. Now, I was going back and forth between the Last Swing from Spider-Man 1 or the Last Swing from Spider-Man 2, but for me, the Last Swing in Spider-Man 2 from Sam Raimi did it for me. They improved upon the last swing at the end of the first film, and then Danny Elfman went ahead and improved upon his score from the first film. It's epic, it's inspiring, it makes you want to go outside, run laps, hit a big old piece of meat like Rocky. Sounds so wrong. But what I love is at one point we see Peter doing a free fall, he's then accompanied by some helicopters as he's heading to the crime scene, and then at the very end it cuts to a very distraught looking MJ thinking, what have I done? What is the life I have now chosen, knowing that my partner is now Spider-Man, and what responsibilities he has, and am I in danger at this point? But again, it's just the visuals paired with Danny Elfman's score. It's just such a beautiful cap off to such a damn good sequel. Number 1, Logan, Berserker Rage. Logan was an absolute experience for me in the cinema, especially after the lukewarm reception of the Wolverine. James Mangold came back along with Hugh Jackman to put the nail in the coffin of the character of Logan. Hugh Jackman was done. Well, not now, he's coming back as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, which I'm totally okay with. But for me, Logan was an experience and a half. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it also just made me feel absolute goosebumps at this particular sequence at the end where we see a wounded Wolverine who puts a serum in his body, which gives him that last bit of oomph, that last second win before he dies to save Daphne and the kids. We then finally see final form Berserker Rage Logan doing a Usain Bolt through the forest as he takes down all of these soldiers, with the last soldier getting pinned against a tree before Logan lets out a beastly roar, warning his remaining prey that he is coming for them. Jackman is absolutely intimidating in this sequence. I love the droning score as he's chopping up those soldiers. I love the ferocity. I love the rage. This is the Logan I've wanted to see for so long. Granted, we got sprinkles of the Berserker Rage Logan throughout the other films. Case in point, X-Men 2, when he pins that soldier against a fridge with absolute Berserker Rage. But even though this sequence lasts all of 20 seconds, it's still better than nothing. And it's the Logan I have wanted to see for so long. End of Logan still makes me cry. It's in my top 10 favorite films of all time. I think Mangold, Jackman, the cast, the crew did a wonderful job. It's a much more intimate film. It's bordering on an art house style Logan film. But to me, that Forest Massacre where we see that Berserker Rage, beautiful. And that is why the Logan Berserker Rage scene is my #1 Goosebumps moment in comic book films. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. With that being said, let me know down below your top 10 Goosebump moments in comic book movies. Hell, not even comic book movies, other movies. The reason why I say comic book movies is because usually they're more grandiose, epic. Look, if you get a Goosebumps moment from The Notebook, more power to you. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.